and welcome all back to Election Time News Australia. Today is, of course, Friday, April 25th, 2025, and we are really coming down to the federal election in Australia. Today we're going to be going over the House of Representatives as we have for the past little while. We have our 65 toss-up or close seats here. Here is the current standing. I do have the 2 open seats now. That is now fixed. So we do have those open seats. Those are resolved. So now, with that in mind, we're going to be also looking at some odds on Kalshi as well as things on YouGov, even though it is a bit outdated. So, Election Time News is your one-stop for all things elections and politics, from summations to poll reviews and news. Make sure to subscribe below for more content like this about American, Canadian, and Australian elections. Remember, there's never a dull moment in politics. So now moving on to the video here, we have the Poll Bludger map translated on here. Poll Bludger is basically, this map is just translating the results from the 2022 federal election onto the current electorates here. So that's basically what this is at this point. There's not much to it other than that. From what I've seen, it doesn't seem to be changing. These have been the exact same, so that there's not much else to be said about this necessarily. It's a constant looking map, so this has been what it's been since forever, since the electorate map was officially published and certified. So this is the exact same thing. This is the current map. There's a few seats that are definitely up. They're going to be more contested than others. They're going to be right here. One of them, of course, is going to be the consistency of Lingiari. That's going to be the largest competitive one there. Up here, there's also Leichhardt. There's, Flynn. There's quite a few other ones down here and right around the outer cities. Of course, the inner cities are a bit more towards Labour, and the outer regions are all about the coalition. But things are looking good for Albanese here. You do have the debate that was last week, and Dutton didn't appear to do extremely well in the debate, as this article in The Guardian goes over, and so it's he's been doing just barely okay in the polls at best. And of course, in the MRP here, YouGov's MRP, they were 1 seat short of a majority. Again, this is a little old. This is almost a month old now, but still, it is, of course, a potential liability for them. This was done on the same day. Projected vote share, the coalition would win the primary vote here, but of course, these third parties, One Nation's going to go to the coalition for the most part. Independents, others, and Greens are generally going to go for Labour as far as national two-party preferred goes. So it's going to be 50.2 to 49.8, but again, this is relatively old, so if anything, the Labour Party's percentage is probably going to have gone up a little bit, but of course it depends on, electorate by electorate, what the top 2 votes are for them, because of course, for some of these in here, especially looking in at, in Brisbane, of course, that's going to be between the Greens and the Labour Party, for example. In central Melbourne, let me just quickly turn on tooltips here. Looking in central Melbourne, of course, in the actual, self-named Melbourne, that's going to be between the Greens and the Labour Party. In here, you have a few independents as well. So there's definitely a few spots that are going to be relatively close, but of course you do end up having some seats that might end up not going one or the other. You only have 2 safe Green seats here when they currently have 4, so that's a drop right there. The Labour Party are only set to have 43 safe here, but I mean, then again, you're looking at 150 seats, and 65 of them are, not necessarily safe. So that's a relatively wide open map, especially compared to the American map, this previous cycle. But this, going back to this debate, it wasn't seen as a large win for either of them. But consistently with this continued lead for the Labour Party in the polls, they haven't been losing much of anything. And with Peter Dutton continuing to get a very low approval rating, preferred prime minister is Albanese here by quite a bit as well. And even though this was, of course, about a month ago, it still is going to be relatively important to note. Other than the 17% of don't knows, that's going to be the undecided vote here that we're going to be looking at. So that's going to be crucial when it actually comes down to election night. But as far as the prediction markets go, looking at Kalshi here, we do see that Australian Prime Minister, 85% for Albanese. So that is a very strong support. That is likely for probability, and that is a very low percentage for Dutton there. And the majority, 76% for the Labour Party, selling for 82 cents, interestingly enough. Alright, so that's going to be based on that 78 for bids. Yes, 76. Okay, so that's the current asks. Okay, so anyway, and then 22% there for the coalition. So that is just barely likely. So that's going to be no. Now, interestingly, because of this, they actually, if they end up having the same amount of seats, all will resolve to no. But of course, this is the most amount of seats. So interestingly, the fact that these are so far apart is actually interesting, because one generally 100% of the time results in the other. So that's very interesting. But the odds for the Labour Party have actually dropped even since 3 days ago. 78.8% on the 23rd. That was 2 days ago. And then, of course, it's only updated as of the 24th, but 77.8%. So now it's down to 76%. So it's dropped a little bit. Not necessarily sure what those are reacting to, but it's interesting thing to see. But now we're looking at this is a great sign for, obviously a great sign for Albanese. 85% chance, according to Kalshi, that he will be prime minister for another term here, another election cycle, term if you will. So we're looking at a potential very strong performance for the Labour Party coming up. Of course, right before the actual election, I will go through these and do all of them for my final few. But in the meantime, the Canadian election is in 3 very short days. So I'm going to be making a few videos on that right before that happens on the 28th. So if you do want to get notified about these, make sure to subscribe below and turn on notifications. Thank you all so much for watching this video. For a quick update on odds as well as some more information into this. I'm going to be getting into more specifics, finding recent polls as well, instead of just going over YouGov's month-old information. And so thank you all for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day.